This is Honors, this is Changing Detroit, and this is week 9. And this is Welcome Everybody in Tamil.
Hello everyone, I'm Aditya Kumar and I speak Tamil, the oldest language in the world. So to say welcome everyone, I would say Anaivarukkum Vanakkam.
Welcome indeed. What I want to talk about today are problems with Detroit. But before I get to problems with Detroit, I actually want to talk about a problem with the class. And that problem is me. I have tried to get these videos out on time, but every week you've probably noticed, in fact, I'm sure you've noticed, they've gotten out a little bit later and a little bit later and a little bit later, and that's a problem. How do I know it's a problem? Well, I've felt it all along and I've been worried about it, but I know it's a problem because on Wednesday I got an email from one of you, a particularly eloquent, particularly nice email, but also one that really gave me a kick to get these things done on time. It's Saturday afternoon right now. My goal is to get everything delivered and processed so that they get out by Saturday night. I hope that's possible. At the very least, they'll be out by Sunday morning. So why was this letter so persuasive? What was it about it? Well, part of it was just sheer length. It was a really sort of extensive email that went into great detail. But the really amazing thing about it was that it actually replicated precisely the pattern that we've tried to introduce in this class. The pattern of problems, policies, and politics are built into the letter. And so I am happy to learn from others just as I'm trying to get people to learn from me. And what I actually want to do is to spend a couple minutes looking at this letter because it so perfectly nailed what we're trying to get at and did so in a way that's strictly relevant to everything that we're doing in this class and how I could be doing a better job. So the first thing I want to say is this is indeed a problem and I take responsibility and I'm really sorry. And I'm going to try over the remaining 7 weeks of this course to actually get these things out to you on time. So let's take a look at the letter. It hit its mark really quickly. It started out with perfect clarity. It said, this is what this letter is going to be about. This is what I want to call to your attention. And then it proceeded to unroll with a series of arguments that made a really strong case about why this is a problem, what kind of policies would fix it, and in the bigger picture, how that could happen, what could make that actually happen. So the introduction was very nice, very complimentary. Always a nice thing to do to butter people up and let them know that that maybe the sting isn't going to be as hard as it seems. But after a few preliminaries, it launched straight into the point that it wanted to raise, which is that the videos are coming out too late, and that has negative consequences. It's right there, straight in the thesis statement, and then the author provides a series of specific pieces of data. They talk about when they take the class. They talk about when the videos come out. And then they talk about what's wrong with that situation. What's wrong with the mismatch between when the videos come out and when they're able to watch them. In addition, they then provide some supplementary data. They talk about the fact that there are additional considerations, that just because I leave 24 hours between the video coming out and the first class doesn't mean they have time to actually watch it because other things are going on. And they make an appeal to the fact that they need this, that this is important for class and it's important for quality work in the class, something that's near and dear to my heart, but it's nice to see it expressed there. They then make another appeal, an appeal to equity, and say that this isn't really fair for students whose classes are on Tuesday. It's less fair than for students whose classes are on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And they're exactly right on that. And for those of you who have a Tuesday class, Wednesday too, I really apologize that these haven't come out sooner. But also, in addition to appealing to equity, they appeal to effectiveness because they say, look, if you don't get these out on time, students are not going to be learning, and the instructors and the senior lecturers are taking note of that, and it's interfering with the class. So it's actually making the class work less. There's nothing I want less than to have an ill-functioning class, so that, again, goes straight to the heart of this. And then they cite evidence of the actual number of people watching it and the actual number of people in the class. So there's actually quantitative data in this letter about why I should get these videos out on time. And then, after that full and clear expression, the letter goes straight into the question of what I should do about it. Very simple, says release these earlier. But that's not enough. When should I release them? Release them Friday or at the very latest Saturday night so that people can have 3 to 4 days to complete it. So Specific policy proposal, release them earlier, release them by Friday night, or at the very latest by Saturday night. And then it provides a policy justification. It explains that this provides the additional time. It acknowledges the cost, because every policy is going to have a cost of some form or another. It says, yeah, I know this might be hard for you. It might be hard for you to actually get your act together in enough time to get this done, and make some acknowledgments of busy lives and so on. But it then says this cost is worth it, because if you do this, we will do better in the course, and that's what I want above anything. So it says, yes, it admits a cost, it spells the cost out very specifically, and then it explains that the benefits are greater than the cost. This is exactly how we lay out problems and how we lay out policies in this class, but in the bigger world. And once we've identified the nature of the problem, we've identified the policy, the next step is to actually get that policy in front of and in the mind of somebody who can actually do something about it, to actually get someone to take some action on this. And here, the student, again, did a great job. Maybe pretty obvious, but the fact that they had the courage to do it, the fact that they actually did it, really means a lot to me. Because what they did was to say there is only one person who can solve this problem. There is only one person to whom to address something like this to, and that's me. I'm the one who can fix the problem. I'm the one you need to address. You could probably address my family, who would also like to see me get these videos out sooner so that I preserve the weekend. But the student figured out who was responsible, had the courage to actually send that out, and they really scored in that regard. And they did it in exactly the right way. They approached the decision maker, me, with a kind of tone of understanding and a tone of appreciation, but also a pretty insistent tone that this was very, very important. And so they understood the power dynamic here, but I would say the only place where the student actually didn't go far enough was in this final section. Because there's this very nice thank you, I appreciate you reading it, I can only hope for the best. Now I think that's just a rhetorical flourish, but what I want to suggest is that you can do more in this case than hope for the best. You are students in my class, you are students at a university, you are paying money to be here. And it's not a purely sort of consumer-producer relationship, but it is certainly a relationship that needs to be based on mutual respect. And if something's going wrong in this class or any other class, you need to be able to say it to the faculty member, and the faculty member needs to at least consider it and try to do something about it to the extent that that is possible. And so in this case, only hoping for the best actually doesn't reflect the full extent of all of your power in this regard. You have some agency here as well that the student actually took advantage of. It's hard to figure out exactly where that agency lies. A lot of it can seem like the kinds of things that the civic sector does, asking or in some cases in this letter sort of teaching me what would be better, preaching to me about how that would be better. But I think your power goes a little bit beyond that. It may not be the kind of power where you can tell or you can pay money to make me do this. But it is the kind of power of some kind of equality, of some kind of trade. Yes, there is a differential between teacher and student in this regard, but we are all in this same broader web, and just as teachers have a certain amount of power over students, so students, by their attendance in class, by their participation in class, by their ability to appeal to a higher authority in the forms of department chairs and deans and university presidents, there is a greater equality of relationship than you might think. And so all I would say to the student is, thank you for doing this. This was an amazing letter. And don't underestimate your agency in this regard. You have great agency. All of you have great agency. And use your agency at this university not only to get what you need, but as practice for getting what you need and want in the bigger realms of society. So while we're on the question of agency, there's a way to exercise your agency. I realize it's just one ballot out of several 100,000 in a congressional race, or several million in the electoral college race. but do go out and vote. Do use your agency in that regard. I have actually some documentation from a former student of ours. His name is Aaron Keithley. And Aaron actually has been working for the Campus Election Engagement Project. He's been doing some great work there, and he's actually prepped a really nice, very succinct document for how to actually do the voting, a little bit like what I did last time, except he put it on PDF. And so he wants to make that available to all of you. I'm going to put it in the modules. But he also said that if you email him with any questions about it, or even just email him with any evidence that you actually read the document, he will put you in a drawing for swag, or for a gift card, which is even better. So read Aaron's document, go online, send him an email, and then, if you haven't already, go and vote. And one further exercise of your agency, help others exercise their agency, help other people vote. And there are a number of ways to do that. I've put up a couple last week. Again, michigan.gov/democracymvp or michiganvoting.org. Both of those will help you find places where you can go and work the polls so that you can help other people vote, particularly people who need language assistance, but just in general, anything that we can do to put relatively healthy people in voting places means that the seniors who usually do that job for us, who are immunocompromised, are not going to be required to sit in those chairs and have people cough on them. I guess that means they'll cough on you, but at least you and I and others were better able to handle it. So let's let our seniors off the hook on this one, and let's get out there and actually work the polls. Plus it's fun, plus they pay you, which is pretty cool. Third and last way to exercise your agency is advising. Now, in a way, you don't have any agency on this. You actually have to sign up for an advising appointment in order to complete the course. It's one of the assignments in the course, actually. But this is actually a way to use your agency, because in those advising appointments, you can work with our great team of advisors to help figure out what courses you want to take, and you can talk to them about where you want to go, what kinds of stuff you want to be doing, and you can use these particular appointments to get your goals, to achieve your goals in that regard. So all you have to do is go to the Canvas page for the course. On that front page, right under the vote sign, you'll see the fifth one down is advising. Click on that. You'll get a form, actually a video that shows you how to do it, and then a form for doing it. So set up your advising appointment and start planning your next semester, and really start planning your academic career. The more planning you can do ahead of time, the better you're going to be at it. And that's actually one of the messages of this class as well. So it's a nice segue into today's big question. So what do I want to talk about today? Well, this is the third out of 3 sets of videos on the question of deindustrialization and jobs in Detroit. And so the question at hand is, what do we do about it? What policies are going to best respond to Detroit's problem of deindustrialization, the problem of a lack of jobs? It's really a core question. It is the crucial economic question for the city of Detroit. After rising to the peaks of industrial dominance in the world automobile industry, after falling from that peak, Detroit has faced setback after setback in terms of employment. And so the question of jobs is fundamental. And helping to resolve that question is the key to helping move the city into a more normal channel for cities in the United States. So that's the question we're going to ask. How are we going to handle that? Well, we're going to do it with a series of 6 videos, and the videos are going to look like this. First of all, the one that we're in right now that we're almost done with, and then we're going to go from here straight to the question of incomplete solutions. We're going to talk about what we've tried. Obviously, it hasn't fully worked, so we're going to talk about what we've done and why it hasn't fully worked. Then we're going to talk for a minute about the bigger problems of why it hasn't worked. So we'll talk about the specific things that haven't worked, but then we'll start to look a little bit behind the curtain about why those things haven't worked. And then we'll look at things that might work. And here we're talking about using some of the lessons we've had from previous classes, where we're going to think about looking upstream at certain kinds of more underlying cause-based solutions, and we're going to talk about moving up level to raise our discussion from the level of the city to the level of institutions that are bigger, that have a bigger scope, and that might be able to do something not just about this city, but all cities. And then finally, we'll conclude and we'll send things forward into the next week. So that's the big picture. That's where we're going to go from here. And what I want to do now is jump straight into the second video, video 9b, where we're going to talk about the things we've tried and that haven't quite worked. See you there.